Over the summer of 2020, Michael Haithcock, director of bands at Michigan, emailed me and he asked me to do a reduced version of Point Blank, one of my other band pieces. And I said, I'd love to do that because he was foreseeing having smaller ensemble sizes. Roughly like one of each instrument. It'd be great to include the saxophones and one of each of the brass instruments and percussion, and that naturally kind of works itself out to be about 19-20 musicians, and that works out to be almost kind of the max size you can perform on stage with proper social distancing. So then I decided to do Masks and Machines, and I just did it. It wasn't commissioned or no one asked me to do it. One thing I love about transcribing is the decisions it forces me to make, the creative decisions it forces me to make. So the beginning of Masks and Machines was originally written for solo violin, and it's something that works very idiomatically on the solo violin, and it leaps across all the strings. It's a very disjunct line of music. And I was like, well, how am I going to use that in the wind band? And through process elimination and trying stuff with players, I settled on the clarinets. And so I moved it over to the clarinets and revoiced it a little bit, but the music that I ended up writing for the clarinet was something that I would have never written if I had not transcribed it, taken it from solo violin. So I love that about redoing pieces like this, because it forces you to make these decisions and actually pushes you creatively to write some music that you might not have written otherwise. So that was something where that line of music is fundamentally different now, but it was inspired and I think it's actually improved. It works almost even better for the clarinets. The last movement, which features the flutes, in the original orchestral version, there were only 2 flute parts. So you have these really fast notes, and 2-part chromatic counterpoint between the 2 instruments. In the wind band, I had more flutes, right? So I actually added a line of counterpoint, and so the flutes were able to play chords all together, and then sort of moving neighbor tones up and down away from those chords, and the flutes were able to work even better as a unit. So that was something where that's really not a transcription, that's a recomposition, right? And as the composer, I was able to make that decision. Now with this new 19-player version, I use only 1 flute. I basically have 1 of each of the wind instruments. I'm trying to cover most of the instruments in the band. So what do you do now? I decided to have 3 percussionists, so that became the solution, having the percussionists play that line, that music. So I have the xylophone, marimba, and vibraphone playing that music, and it works perfectly. And I was able to add a few other notes and some little 16-note triplets in there to make it even more virtuosic. So it's a little bit different than the flute parts, but that just was a problem-solving exercise. So using the transcription reduction process as an opportunity to solve problems but also improve the piece at the same time, that's really where you want to be. And sometimes that means really trying to capture the original, but sometimes it means totally transforming it as well.